when I finish a book, like try and like think pros and cons so I can do like a well-rounded Goodreads review. And I couldn't think of any cons, like none. Hey guys, welcome back to Francesca's Books. My name is Francesca, these are my books, and here we talk all things thriller books. As you can probably tell by my voice, I have been a little worse for wear over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't posted in a few weeks now, and it has literally broken my heart because I've literally just been bedbound and just not been able to talk at all. So this is a massive improvement, believe it or not. It is to the point now where it sounds so much worse than it is. Like I feel absolutely fine, like I feel 100%, and hopefully this just gets back to normal soon, but here we are, I'm so excited. I also didn't drink coffee for 3 weeks while I was sick, and that's how you know I was really sick. So I'm back now with my iced coffee, but it is in this mug because we are into spooky season soon. How exciting. It's the first day of August, but we're nearly there. We're nearly at spooky season. So as you've guessed from the title, here is a wrap up of everything that I read in July and my August TBR. So I haven't actually read as much in July, as you can understand, as I normally do. So I managed to read a total of 5 books, but 2 of them were 5-star. So thanking the gods for that one. And then I have 7 books on my August TBR. They are all thriller books. I don't actually have my normal romance palette cleanser this month, so if you have any recommendations, please do let me know. So without further ado, July's reading wrap up. So the first book I read that I've been dying to get to for literally so long is Isolation Island by Louise Minchin, and the author of this book kindly gifted me this copy and she signed it for me. She's such a sweetheart. This actually doesn't come out until September, so I'm about 4 weeks early on the publication of this, so definitely look out for it in September when it comes out. So this follows 10 celebrities that go on like a survival show, and the production team can't even keep them safe. Like they start disappearing under very suspicious circumstances and everything's just sort of a mess for them. They're also on this like really cold like monastery castle on an island at the top of Scotland, so it's also like freezing cold, so these people are like just not having a good time. So I actually ended up giving this 3.5. So the concept was absolutely excellent, and also the actual setting, like I felt like I was there genuinely. Like I felt like cold reading this book. Like it was really well described. Also there's like a really diverse character pool, which was really empowering, and I really enjoyed that side of it as well. But I just wish like the stakes were a little bit higher in this book. Like it felt like there wasn't that much to play for. I don't know, maybe that's because I'm used to reading really intense thriller books, and also I would have loved it if there was like a point of view of somebody else who wasn't one of the celebrities on the island, like maybe like the film crew or a family member, and then sort of at the end when everything wraps up there isn't anything like from after the show, like in the outside world, like the consequences of anything. So I think that would have made it a much higher rating for me, because the actual writing style and the concept was really good. I just feel like it could have been like slightly more well-rounded, but this is this author's debut novel, so I will definitely be picking up her next novel as well and checking that out. So next up is a book that I actually read on holiday. I did go away for the first week of July, but I got ill whilst I was there. Like that was the start of these problems, so I did only have like a couple of days where I was feeling okay, but I did read a summer thriller, and it was The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. So this follows like a best friend duo who go on a like reconnecting trip to Italy and stay in this villa. However, this villa has the darkest past ever basically, and it's sort of a dual timeline of what went on like I think it was about 30 years ago, and the girls that have gone there now to like reconnect, and everything just kind of like weirdly overlaps. So this one personally wasn't for me. I gave it a 2.5, which I thought was a fair rating to go straight down the middle for this. It didn't feel like a thriller. It felt like the book Daisy Jones on the Six combined with like psychological suspense, and I think even psychological suspense is a push. However, it wasn't a bad book. Like it was a good book. It just wasn't for me. So I can see why like this has been really popular and like continuously recommended, and I don't blame people who really like it as well. Like I completely understand why you would love this. It just wasn't for me. Like I can't explain it. It was just quite anticlimactic. There wasn't really any plot twists, and for that reason it was a 2.5. Next up is our first 5-star. How exciting. So it is Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. I have literally been recommended this book so many times. Like honestly, I've lost count of how many times. I've also lost count of how many times like some of my favourite book influencers have also rated this 5-star and loved it. So I decided it was finally time. This was one that I read on my Kindle. It was 99p in the month of July, so I don't have the physical copy, but I absolutely loved it, and we'll definitely be getting a physical copy now as a trophy and just to hold up in videos. So it follows 2 women who meet on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and they're both like filled with pain and like a desire for revenge. They've both been wronged, they've both had someone taken away from them, and they formulate this plan, which, as you can imagine from the title of Kill for Me, Kill for You, fairly self-explanatory. And then meanwhile, there's like another point of view of this woman, Ruth, who keeps getting attacked by this same man. So you're kind of trying to figure out exactly who these characters are, like as you go through. It's a very like classic Manhattan setting, which I absolutely love, and I just loved it. I got to the end of the book and I was like, I can't really fault this. Like, I was trying to like think of like, I always, when I finish a book, like try and like think pros and cons so I can do like a well-rounded Goodreads review, and I couldn't think of any cons. Like none. So the actual plot really heavily plays into the strangers on a train plot, which kind of broke the fourth wall because they mentioned that book as well within this book, which was really cool. This book had a 10 out of 10 bingeability. Absolutely loved it. And the best part was every character got exactly what they deserved. Like every single one. Can't fault it. Love Steve Cavanaugh. This was the first book that I ever read of him, and I'm 100% going to read some more. And then when I was literally like in the depths of my illness, I needed like a super easy book to read. Like I could barely even look at my Kindle. So I was like, unless this is literally going to be like a 1 on the scale of how easy to understand it is, I was never going to be able to get through it. And I managed to find something, believe it or not, and it is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. So this follows a woman who dies right at the start of the book, and her 3 estranged children have to come back and like deal with the estate. They're estranged from her and they're also estranged from each other, so it's just like a weird situation. And then when they're clearing out some of their stuff, they find this VHS tape which incriminates both her and her husband, their dad. So they are like, what do we do with this information? So don't get me wrong, this book was nothing groundbreaking. I guessed the plot twist coming like a mile away, and the characters were very simple. They weren't like super developed. However, if you are after something that is just really easy to read, really easy to just like, it's almost like a summer thriller, even though it's not a summer theme. Like if you just want something to read by the pool or on the beach or something just like, just super easy, I would just really recommend this. For that reason, I gave it a 3.5. And then the final book that I read in July was my classic designated romance palette cleanser, and it's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I loved this book. This book left me speechless. I mean, can you imagine me speechless? It's hard to picture, innit? This was an immediate 5-star read. I actually think this is like the first 6-star book that I'm ever going to have rated. Don't know what it is about this author. She just like, it's just like such a gut punch. These books are just like a, oh, do you know what I mean? So this follows Justin and Emma, 2 brand new characters who both believe they are like cursed in love. So everybody they've dated has gone on to marry like the next person they've dated, and they just find each other like randomly through talking about this, like they're both in the same position, and they decide that they're going to date each other so that the next person each of them dates is like the one for them. And it's a romance book, so you can imagine exactly what happens in this situation. So one of my favourite things about this book, aside from our male main character, who is literally just incredible, is that the first 2 books in this series, so Part of Your World and Yours Truly, they both have appearances from our characters in this book. And also they're involved in a massive plot twist, which as a thriller reader, you would just expect me to just have got like a mile away, and I didn't. Incredible. This just had wonderful characters, really deep-seated emotional trauma that was just portrayed in the best way. It literally gave me butterflies, had me kicking my feet. If you need a romance palette cleanser, this is the one, okay? This is it. So 2 5-stars, 2 3.5 stars, and 1 2.5 star. Don't think it's been a bad month, like it's been quite a mixed month, and I'll take it. So on to my August TBR. I actually have 7 thriller books lined up for August. I feel like I'm going to make up for a lot this month, and they're all thriller books. I'm like back in my thriller era. I only just read Just for the Summer like as my last read, so I'm all in with my thrillers. So the first book, because I've already started it as it is August 1st, is An Eye for an Eye, and I am really enjoying this. I will warn you with this book though, it is definitely like on the heavier side. There's a lot of timelines and a lot of characters. I feel like you need to have like full concentration of this book. I don't think it's one you could just dip in and out of. I started reading it physically and I've switched to audio because I feel like I can retain some more through audio. So I'm about 3/4 of the way through and I am really enjoying it. As I say, it's just, you just need to concentrate for this one. So it follows 9 UK criminals, fictional criminals of course, and they are given a lifelong anonymity after they've been released from jail or like whatever sentence they've done, but now someone is leaking the information to the families of the people that have been affected by these specific criminals, and not good things are starting to happen to them. This is just such like a moral dilemma of a book. Like the whole way through, you're not really sure who you should be rooting for. This author's really good at writing these criminals in a way that you almost feel sorry for them. Like I love books that are written from both points of view. There's a lot of opinions on this. I feel like I'm going to have a very in-depth review of this one. So next up, I'm going to read Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. This is the only Alice Feeney book I haven't read. I really want to finish a backlist because I want to do like a full ranking video for you guys. When I did my Frida McFadden ranking video, everyone really loved that. So I'm thinking of doing the same for some other really popular thriller authors, and this will kickstart that if I can finish Alice Feeney's backlist. So in this one, 20 years after a baby goes missing, someone is unalived in a care home, and these events are actually linked. So our two female protagonists have to understand exactly how these are linked and the consequences of that. As you guys know, I don't read loads about the books on my TBR because I really like to go in and have that like shock factor, especially if stuff happens at the beginning. So that is all I know about that one, but I've really enjoyed some of Alice Feeney's books, but some of them I've also really not enjoyed. I feel like her books are very love it or hate it. So like Rock, Paper, Scissors, I absolutely loved. His and Hers, I absolutely loved. But then books like Daisy Darker, I was just like, is this even the same author? So I'm really interested to see what I think of this one. So the next book that I'm really keen to read is Someone in Attic by Andrea Mara, and this is an author that I have kind of like recently discovered. I've only read one of her other books, which was No One Saw a Thing, and I really enjoyed it, and I feel like this author's really getting some hype at the moment on social media, so I thought I would check out her latest book. So this book literally opens with a woman being unalived in the bathroom. I love that. Like, do you ever just think like, why do I read thriller books? Is there something wrong with me? Anyway, and then after she's unalived, one of her friends gets sent this video, or it's like on social media, of someone like in her house, like looking at the attic, someone coming down from the attic, and the story just kind of unfolds from there. As I just said, I don't really know much more about that as it is on my TBR, but this is one that I've seen being really highly rated, so I'd be really keen to know what you guys think of this if you've read it already. And then how could I forget about my favourite thriller author of all time? I have one book left on her backlist, and I've kind of been putting it off because I'm really scared to finish her backlist, but it is Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh, and I'm going to read it this month because I need my Claire Mackintosh fix. So this book follows a girl whose parents were unalived about a year ago, and she thought at the time like, this is really suspicious, like this doesn't sound right, but she was in grief, and then like a year later she kind of comes back to it and is like, I'm gonna actually dig into this a bit because I just don't believe what I'm being told. But then I think she gets to the point where it's like, maybe I should have just left this alone, and it gets a bit intense. This may potentially be a little bit triggering for me. As you guys know, I lost my dad 8 months ago now, but I'm going to give it a read. This is why this one's been the last book on my Claire Mackintosh list, because I've been a bit apprehensive that that's going to be triggering, but I'm going to give it a go, and at the end of the day, if it is, I won't carry on reading it. I can't believe it's been 8 months, guys, since my dad passed. It's just crazy. I remember coming on here and doing a video like, this is what's happened, like a few weeks later. Next up, I've been lucky enough to get an advance copy of Message Deleted by K.L. Slater, and this is an author that I actually really recommend. She has a lot of her books on Kindle Unlimited as well, so if you do have Kindle Unlimited, you could probably go check some out just like within your membership. But this is her most recent release, and I'm very excited to read it. So this follows Safi, who gets a text from her friend that's like, come quickly, like don't call or text me, just come to the house, like I need you immediately. So she's like, oh my god, yeah, of course. And then with that, the message is deleted. So she goes around to the house like, I'm here, like what's going on? And then her friend's like, I never sent that, like I don't know where it's come from. Spooky. But then when she goes back to her phone, obviously the message has been deleted, so she doesn't know what's going on. And then with that, the next few days, the friend is unalived, and Safi was the last person to see her. So now she's like the prime suspect. This one just sounds really good. I just really enjoy the way K.L. Slater writes, so I think this is gonna be good. And then I'm gonna read Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. I've been waiting for this to come out in paperback instead of hardback, as it's quite a recent release still, but it sounds right up my street. So it follows a 22-year-old who goes into an alley, like a dead-end alley, and she just disappears. No CCTV, nothing, just gone. And then the detective on the case, Julia, starts to investigate, but then the kidnapper is using Julia's own past like against her to like try and like put her off finding this girl who's gone missing. I've only read one other book by Gillian McAllister, and that was Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and that wasn't a typical thriller book. It was kind of like a sci-fi thriller, so I'm really interested to see if I like this one. And the last book I'm going to read in August is Run Unread, and I actually did start this a couple of months ago, got about 10% in, and at the time, my anxiety just couldn't take it. It was that intense. Like literally, it opens on like a car chase. So these two girls are going somewhere like on a road trip, and this car just starts like tailgating them, just not leaving them alone. And it very quickly becomes like a cat and mouse chase, and like these girls just do not know what to do themselves. And I feel like it's a really like quick, fast-paced read, and I would really enjoy it. I just wouldn't at the time, but now I would. So I'll let you know what I think of that. I feel like a lot of people have recommended Run Unread to me as well, so I'm really keen to give it another go. I didn't DNF it, by the way, I just I don't know, I was just like, this isn't the right read for me right now. So that's everything I'm going to read in August. Do let me know the best book you read in July and what you're most looking forward to in August as well. And I'm just so happy to be back reviewing books for you guys, chatting all things books. I'm just so excited. So if there's anything you want to see from me, now I'm on a bit of a clean slate in terms of filming videos. I don't have anything really in the pipeline because I'm just sort of getting back to it. Let me know what you'd want to see. I would absolutely love to know from you guys as well. And I cannot wait to see you next time.